Two of the most popular teams in the United Kingdom for American viewers are Wrexham and Leeds. And on the former's case, that's because they have two American owners that have injected money into the club and brought a lot of excitement along with that and views as well. And on Leeds' side, there are three players, and there used to be an American manager. That is until Monday, with Jesse Marsch being sacked. So today I have the opportunity to talk to someone involved with both of those clubs, Bryn Law, who is a Wrexham supporter and a lifelong fan of that club, and is he also the voice of Leeds United for their media team. So, Bryn, I know it's been a busy day for you. How you doing, and how you reacting to this news about Jesse Marsch?
Well, it's unfortunately it's part of the kind of Premier League cycle, so it's not on that basis a huge surprise. These days, it never is when a manager loses their job. It's no less disappointing because the one thing I'd say at the outset is that Jesse, I've gotten really well with Jesse. We interacted after the games. We did our little interviews, and he's a nice guy. So I enjoyed that interaction. And I was really hoping, on that basis alone, perhaps, but I was really hoping, well, the club needed it as well, but I was really hoping that it worked out for him. And the signs were good last season because he came in a really difficult situation to replace a guy who had acquired absolutely legendary status at the football club in Marcelo Bielsa. A guy who was kind of genuinely revered. And on the day Jesse arrived, there were crowds of fans at the training ground waiting to say goodbye to Marcelo Bielsa. I mean, those kind of things just don't happen in football management. Usually if a football manager loses their job, everyone says, well, good riddance, let's get the next one in. That wasn't really the case at Leeds. So the first thing that Jesse had to manage was that situation. And I did the first interview with him at Leeds United on the day he arrived. And it was a very important interview because he had to get the tone absolutely right. And he did a really good job of doing that. And he recognised how tricky the situation was that he'd arrived in the midst of. But from that position, he did manage to do the one thing that he was really tasked with last season, and that was to keep the club in the Premier League. Obviously, the problem is this time around, there's been greater investment in the side, so the squad should be stronger, but the situation in terms of that Premier League status is looking somewhat precarious currently. And unfortunately, the way that football works these days, particularly Premier League level, that nobody wants to drop out the Premier League. And the course of action, the last course of action, very often is the change of manager. So it's not the first time it's happened. It certainly won't be the last.
So, Bryn, going back to last season, for a lot of us American fans, Jesse Marsch presented this opportunity to say, well, we have a coach in one of the top, probably the top league in the world. And you talk about all the investment, the spending this summer, Tyler Adams, Brenden Aaronson, and then just this past month, Weston McKennie. There's a major American influence in Leeds. And domestically, we've seen Leeds get bumped up on the TV program. They're prioritized because they know a lot of Americans want to watch Leeds. So since you're involved with the club, and you said you conducted that first interview with Jesse Marsch when he got to the club, have you seen any kind of changes, more fans involved? I know the American presence plays something of a role here. I'm just curious if it plays a role over there as well.
Well, from a personal perspective, the one thing I have noticed is that I've got more American followers on social media. And another manifestation of that, which is a little thing, but in a sense is a big thing, is that I'm on the Cameo service where you record messages to people, and so that the birthday greetings or whatever it might be. So I've had a long career in sports broadcasting in the UK, and sort of worked at a high level. So people do recognise me for the work I've done. So I do get those Cameo requests, particularly from people who are involved with Leeds United, because I've been around Leeds United Football Club for a long time. And I get a lot of requests for those messages from America now. So there is a manifestation, if you like, there in terms of I sense the extra interest. I know some American-based fans now. So I know that there's much greater awareness of what's happening at Leeds United, much greater awareness that surely it can't be a coincidence, can it? It has to be as a result of the fact that the club's had an American coach or manager, and now has three high-profile US internationals on the books as well. And then, of course, you've got to add to that the impending takeover by the San Francisco 49ers, which is going to enhance, I think, that sense that there's a strong connection between the US and the UK on a Leeds United basis.
Now, Brent, I'm not sure you can answer this question just because I'm not sure how well you know the American focus on Leeds, but for Brenden Aaronson, Tyler Adams, Weston McKennie, do you think there's a pressure on them as Americans to perform, knowing that they have people watching them from across the pond?
Well, I would imagine there is, but they seem to be the type of characters who would actually enjoy that. That they would see that as being a positive rather than a negative, I suspect, because they all seem. I haven't done much with Weston McKennie yet because I wasn't around on the days he arrived, and he's only played, as we talk now, he's only played the one game. But he seems to be a big character. He seems to have a big personality. Tyler Adams, similarly. I mean, quiet, but in a very noisy way, if that makes any sort of sense. And Brenden has found it, of the three so far, we can't really make a judgment on Weston's case, but Brendan's found it the toughest, I think, so far to adapt. Tyler has kind of slotted in. He's got himself in there, and he's got people talking about him as a potential future captain. So he's made a big impression in a very short space of time. He's kind of made himself a first pick for sure. Brendan's got to work at it a bit yet, and I think there's a lot of high hopes for what Weston McKennie can do in the side, because he's a type of player, by all accounts, that Leeds don't probably currently have. A sort of, as they would be described, a box-to-box midfielder. So he gets from one end of the pitch to the other quickly, and then he makes a contribution at the other end of the pitch as well. So he should score goals. And that's a contribution Leeds could really do with at the moment, because one of the big issues currently is, in the absence of Rodrigo, the leading goal scorer, is that ability to score goals. They need to start scoring again.